Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Welcome to the Nice Fine Wholesale YouTube channel. We are doing something very special today. It's something we haven't done before. It's something that I really want to experiment more and more because it will bring a lot more value to this channel if we can remotely bring people in and interview them. So today, that's exactly what we'll be doing. We'll be interviewing someone very special to the industry, our inspiration, our YouTube channel's inspiration. I've been watching this man for 2+ years now, and he has given us a ton of valuable knowledge. He has helped thousands of people all across the US and maybe even the world get started in this business. He has been the grandfather, the OG, the man, the myth, the legend of the flippers community worldwide. I don't think he needs any more introduction because truly, anyone who's watching our channel probably knows exactly who I'm talking about already. So let's get to it. Let's give him a call. Let's see if he jumps on, and let's see where this goes. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tom Shultz, Liquidation Motivation. Welcome to the Nice Fine YouTube channel, and thank you so much for being here, Tom. Can you please tell our audience, why are you here, who are you, and why are you even talking to me?
What's happening, Damian? Thanks for bringing me on. It's always great to talk to you. I love I call you guys the young guns of the business, right? I'm like the OG, you're the young guns, right? You guys are the ones that are taking it over, which is awesome, which is great. But I've been a flipper, a reseller my whole life. I grew up in a military family, and when I was younger, we were living in Germany. And in Germany, they have each town has a trash day, right? So 1 week a year, they can put their trash out in front of their house and the town would come pick it up, right? And it switched from town to town. So every weekend, my mom would take us to these towns that are throwing their junk out onto the sidewalk, and we'd pick through it. So we were called pickers. We were the first pickers. Yeah. Now they got the American pickers. We were American
You were literally American pickers.
Exactly. And see, so in America, what we call an antique is 100 years old, but in Europe, they've been around for thousands of years. So, they would throw stuff away that are 200-300 years old, and we'd go through the garbage and pick it out. And then we'd take it home and resell it at a yard sale or something like that. So, that's where I think I got my start. I remember one time, and so there was 4 boys in my family, 1 girl, so 5 kids, and us boys were always hustling. One time, my little brother found some Girl Scout calendars in the garbage in Germany, and so we pulled them out of the garbage and we went door to door and sold all of them, 400 Girl Scout calendars. Yeah,
no
all for
way.
$1. We sold them for $1, but that's what really got my mind thinking that way. I had a mom that was always a bargain hunter, a thrift shopper, yard sailor, so my dad wasn't. My dad was just stingy. He never spent any penny, but I guess that's why they're doing well right now.
That's where you got the hustle from, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
you started as an American picker in Germany, and now you own the largest liquidation store in America.
Yeah. So the roadmap to that was when I was 21, I moved in with a guy, and his brother owned a Plate Against Sports in Boston. Mm-hmm. So he owned 3 different stores. So I packed up from New York, I moved to Boston, and I started running a Plate Against Sports. So Plate Against Sports, if any of your viewers don't know, is new and used sporting goods.
Yep.
So we were always looking for liquidated merchandise in that business. I ran it for a couple years and then I left, but I've always had that. I always loved the business, loved the concept of Plate Against Sports. So later on, I'm doing some real estate. I open a business and it fails miserably. So
was that your first business ever? Was that the very first business you ever, I guess, formed and opened? Because I know you're a serial entrepreneur now, and you tell me all the time, I don't know how you control it all, but you do. So congrats. But so what was your first business? And you just said it failed. Why did it fail?
So the first business, I was living in Albany, New York. I had some real estate. I sold it, made some money, and then I decided to move back to my hometown where my parents were. There was a restaurant in a country club for lease. I went and leased it. I ran it myself, and I just did horrible. It's my own fault. Nobody else's fault. Not the market's fault. Not the weather's fault. Not, it was my fault. I ran it horribly.
Way to own up to it.
1 year I failed. So then I decided to go back to college. All right. So I'm going to college, and I'm broke. I'm broke as shit. But I never got my college degree. So I went back to college. And on my way home, because I'm broke, and at the time I got a little kid, I got a little baby, my wife and kid, I stopped by the Salvation Army, and I buy a size 13 Sebago shoe for $5, a pair of shoes for $5.
Yeah.
I take them home and I throw them on eBay. This is 2002, probably 2003.
Prime days of eBay.
So they were 13 narrows, right? Which I didn't frickin' know. I just knew they were good quality shoes. 2 people got in a bidding war for the shoes, and the shoes ended up going for like $85, right? I mean, I'm like, so I can take $5 and turn it into $85? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that's a pretty good damn deal.
Hell yeah.
So then during college, when I'm going to college as an adult, wife and kid at home, I'm going and buying stuff from thrift stores and throwing it on eBay, that way I got some little bit of money. So I ended up get my master's degree in college, and I wrote my master's thesis on the emergence of used merchandise in the modern economy. Right. So that's
I've heard this on your videos before. And shout out to Liquidation Motivation YouTube. If you guys aren't subscribed, go subscribe and subscribe to ours too. But okay, so you actually wrote a thesis on being a flipper and a reseller?
Yeah. Well, at the time, eBay was just becoming super popular. I mean, they've been around, I think, 5 years at the time. But Amazon just decided to let you list used merchandise on Amazon, where previous to that you couldn't. They didn't do anything used. So my whole thought was, where used stuff was like kind of taboo. And, and you remember I worked at Played Against Sports, where I dealt with new and used stuff. Played Against Sports had franchises of Once Upon a Child, Music Go Round, Plato's Closet. And these were fantastic franchises with thousands of locations. So I thought, well, they do billions of dollars in sales a year. Why don't you do one of those stores together? And just be like Walmart, but both new and used, right? So when I graduated college, I opened up my first store. It's called Resale America. So, back then there really wasn't a lot of.
And this is not the same Resale America, just to make it clear. Yeah. Now you're in Lakeland, Florida. This is not the same Resale America that you're talking about now, right?
Right. This is up in northern New York. So I'm from a small town, 30,000 people, 20 miles from Canada. That's where I'm from. So that's where I opened up my first Resale America. And from day one, it just did fantastic. And, basically I was just looking for closeouts and then buying new stuff. But it was probably 3 or 4 years into that, somebody offers me a Walmart truckload. I'm like a whole truckload? Why would I buy a truckload? It was kind of foreign to me at the time, but it just seemed like,
what year was this, Tom? What year was this? Like the first truckload you ever purchased?
Probably about 2007.
2007. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's what, 13, oh my God, my math. 15, 16 years. Yeah. Wow. So that's amazing.
I opened the first Resale America in 2003. So that was about 2007. And then so my wife's job transferred her to Florida. So boom, I sold all my stuff in New York, moved down to Florida, and and this is what really changed my life. And if you talk to a lot of influencers, they talk about relationships and getting to know people, and because you never know what's going to change your life. And so I was at the time when I moved down to Florida. So I moved down to Florida 2015, and I had a private label Amazon company at the time. I was selling athletic and commercial tapes. So I'm also doing FBA, retail arbitrage for FBA. Nice, so I have 10,000 products on the shelves at Amazon. I have my private label company going. I sold my Resale America. So when I moved down to Florida, I'm like, I'm going to 10X the eBay Amazon business. And I go into a warehouse and I get a warehouse. And this is where the magic started. So I envisioned I bought 4 TVs to use as computer monitors. I mounted them on the wall, right? And now I needed to go get computers, but I'm a cheap son of a bitch. So I'm not going to go to Walmart or Best Buy. I hate Best Buy. They're way overcharged.
Oh my God. Yeah, they're a ripoff for sure.
Right. So I'm a bargain hunter. So I'm like, so I Google an e-scrap place to go buy the computers, right? And oh my God, there's one like a mile and a half from me. So I walk down to that place, I drive down to the e-scrap place looking for computers. I walk in, I'm like, hey, do you guys sell used computers? They're like, no, because they're the kind of place that shreds all the hard drives, right? So they don't mess around with hard drives. They're like, no, we don't have computers. And I start looking around and I just see thousands of brand new Amazon merchandise laying around on the floor of this e-scrap place, just laying around. I'm like, what is this stuff? They're like, oh, it's all Amazon. I'm like, Amazon? He goes, yeah. He goes, you want to buy some of it? I'm like, yeah, I want to buy some of it. And I bought it all. I bought it all for like
sorry, once again, what year is this and how long ago is this?
So this is 15.
Can it still be done, I guess?
Yeah. So this is 2015.
2015.
When I moved to Florida. Yep.
Okay.
So I spent about $10,000 that day at that e-scrap place buying this Amazon stuff. So the kid that was working with me said, you got to meet the owner. Let me go grab the owner. So it was very strange because they sat me in an office and I can see the owner and this guy talking, and they're talking for like 10 minutes right outside the office. And I'm just sitting there like, and I know they're talking about me. I'm like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, what the hell is going on?
Yeah. Okay. So the owner comes in and he goes, listen, I'm a scrap guy. I'm a scrap guy. I don't know how to sell this stuff or move this stuff. Why don't we work something out where I'll give you all my Amazon stuff and then you bring me back the money. And I'm like, yeah,
consignment type of deal, right? Like he'll just be supplying you and you'll be selling it and everybody wins.
So at the point, I didn't know anything about this merchandise. So he takes me to another warehouse. We walk into the warehouse. There's 100 pallets of what we all know of high piece count Amazon merchandise.
Nice.
Right?
Okay. So the first HPCs that ever hit the market.
Right. But you got to, these though weren't like the crap you buy now with the cell phone kit. These were like full of electronics and motherboards and RAM and just so much good stuff. It was like if you were to buy an Amazon electronics premium pallet right now, they're normally 4-foot pallets filled with premium electronics.
Yep,
they're normally a couple $1,000. Yep. Yeah, that's what I was getting. And I was getting it by the,
like if you're now they're $2,000. So how much free? Oh, remember? but you were just commission based. So whatever you made, you took care of your man.
And give back half the money. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So I mean, we did eventually switch that up where I was buying it, but I was paying $400 a pallet when we switched it up where I was buying by the pallet. You know, he thought he wasn't getting enough money out of stuff. So I'm like, oh, however you want to work it out. So that, that's where I talk about, you got to have a competitive advantage in this business. And I had the advantage. So for about 5 straight years, I was hustling at a flea market, selling this Amazon merchandise. And I went from the first load I bought from him, I went from 4 booths to 8 booths to 32 booths to 200 booths. So
holy smokes. I had at a flea market, like in one flea market, you had 200 booths lined up?
One flea market, Tampa, Florida.
Wow. Are those booths the ones you don't take them down or anything? It's just like you kind of close that garage door and then.
Yeah. Ours are just big fenced in areas. We shut the gates and lock the gates up. Yeah. Okay. So I hustled that for years and I made more money than I ever made in my life, just by hustling that merchandise. And,
at the flea. You go to the flea market now, and we're actually going to have a video coming out about it. You go to the flea market now, every third booth is pretty much either Amazon liquidation pallets, maybe not as much Best Buy, but Target, Walmart, but we're just looking around like that's Amazon, that's Walmart, that went through our warehouse, So no, it's definitely interesting. You were probably one of the first guys ever to be at a flea market booth with this type of merchandise. Yeah, I would get hundreds and hundreds of people when I opened the doors ready to get in. What I had, my gimmick was I priced everything with like a pricing gun, but then I told everybody everything's on sale, and basically I gave 30% off everything, so they always thought they were getting a deal. I had a megaphone, a microphone, I'm playing good music. I was the killer salesman, right? I'm playing great music, I'm playing 70s disco, and people are dancing in my experience booth. Yeah. And I'm on the microphone. Hey, ignore all the prices. Everything's got to go. If you have any, and I never stopped talking.
people loved it. People loved it. And you know, I mean, I was making a lot of money, you know.
No,
I'll
that's
be, I'll
awesome.
be
That's an
candid.
awesome story.
I'll be candid. I was making probably, I don't know, between 150,000 and 200,000 a year doing that, just hustling at a flea market.
Wow, out of a
Yeah.
flea market booth. And how much were your expenses at a flea market booth like that? I mean, you had 200 stalls, so I'm sure it added up a little bit, but how much is like a flea market booth? Just one. I mean, I know the ones that are around us are like $30 for a day. So
yeah, they were renting them, I think, for the month. For one booth for a month is probably like $200.
$200. Wow.
Yeah, but as I got bigger and bigger, they'd give me better. You know, I'd rent a whole section and it'd be like 5,000 a month. You know,
yeah,
it'd be like 50 booths. You know, so
did you just get to that point where you were like, well, it's time for a store. It's time to actually kind of like not legitimize. I don't want to take anything away from your flea market hustle, but
yeah,
I'm sure it felt like a hustle, right?
It was a hustle, and it's in Florida. So I'm in a flea market 6 months out of the year with no air conditioning. You know, it's hot as shit. So you'd sweat for half the year. But during the wintertime, it's fantastic in Florida because all the snowbirds come down.
Yeah.
But you know, I just want to say that when I had 8 booths, I was killing it. And when I moved to bigger and bigger and bigger, I took on more responsibility, higher rents, but I don't think I made any more money.
That's, you know, that sounds about right. That's exactly.
So it's like you got to find that sweet point in the business. Spot. You know, if you're making 150 grand, and now that's profit I was making. That's not. Yeah, that's amazing. If you're making that and an 8-person,
and all cash been, probably.
Yeah. Don't say that. But
it's been over 7 years, man. You're good.
Yeah, because then I did the hustle where I was buying Home Depot truckloads. I was buying, you know, I was like the biggest buyer from the Goodwill in Sarasota County, so I was getting hundreds of pallets up from them every week. You know, so my life just became more difficult. Like if I could go back, I'd probably stick to that 8 booth and just crush it.
Crush it, because then your overhead's lower, right? You have more time, so you can focus on other things, right? But this is an awesome story, man. So you scaled to 200 booths. When did you decide it's time to open the biggest store in America?
Well, okay. So what happened was somebody noticed me, some investors noticed me at the flea market, and, you know, they were intrigued by what we did. And, you know, so I negotiated a deal with them where they could be my partners, you know, and,
so you met an investor that had a bunch of money to load into your business at a flea market.
Yeah.
That's so amazing.
So I already done Resale America in New York, which is 30,000 square feet, which I call it the small store. Most people call that a big store, but I call it my small store. You know, I always had the dream of being over 100,000 square feet, because if you're doing 100,000 square feet, you can do every category, right? Yeah, you can do clothing, you can do furniture, you can, you know, when you're at 30,000 square feet, you have to eliminate, because I always believe, like, if you needed a baseball glove, you're not going to go to Goodwill to shop for a baseball glove because they might have 1 or 2 there, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But you might go to Play It Again Sports because Play It Again Sports will have 50 there, right? So I need to have 50 or hundreds and hundreds of everything to make people want to come to me. You know, because if I don't have that inventory, they're not going to shop it with me. So I don't want to have some furniture. I want to have a lot of furniture. I don't want to have some clothing. I want to have a lot. So when I found, you know, I searched all of Florida. So the investors, I'll go back to the investors. The investors said they want to invest. I pitched to them Resale America, you know, the world's largest liquidation store. And then I went on a search throughout Florida to find reasonable real estate. And it ended up being the cheapest space was one of the best spaces available. And that's in the Lakeland Square Mall. So my initial lease started at $3 a square foot, which,
holy smokes.
Anybody who's in the business knows that's dirt cheap. That was, you know, pre-corona, that was dirt cheap, but now you can't even freaking touch that. I mean, real estate prices right now, rental. Yeah. Somebody just emailed me right before this call. They're being charged $19.50 a square foot for raw warehouse space. You know, I'm like, warehouse space? That's ridiculous. You know, that's
crazy. I mean, you know, we just got our warehouse and we're around $9 a square foot. And like, that's a deal. You know, for us, that's a deal, because it took us 6 months to find a place, even like somewhere remotely close that's not asking $15, $16 a square foot. because we're in the Chicagoland area, you know, you got like the O'Hare, which is a huge airport, tons of cargo. So anywhere near there, like it's bananas, 15 plus a square foot, and it's not available. That's, you know,
Yeah.
even if there was places to choose from, but nothing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. No, I agree.
so you signed a store. How big is the store? And you're still there. Not assuming. I know you're still there. How big is the store? You know, how many docks? How many departments? Talk a little bit about the biggest store in America.
Yeah. So it's 110,000 square feet. It's an old Macy's building. So,
Okay. Wow.
you know, Macy's went bankrupt, and this company bought it for, I think, $1 million, which is dirt cheap for a store that size. So they were, and have been vacant for like 4 years. So they were just looking for somebody to move into it. You know, this is pre-corona, when pre-COVID, whenever when you know, everything seemed to be going down, like the market was going down, and you know,
Sure.
everybody's talking about a housing crash and a recession. You know, so I got a very good lease. I mean, then I just went on a buying rampage, right? I just went everywhere I could to buy. I mean, but I had to get you know, it was hard. It probably took me 6 months to build it, to get it built
Definitely.
up.
I mean, that's a big store, man.
Yeah,
110,000 square foot, and what, 2 floors?
no, it's one floor.
It's 1 floor. It's 1 floor
Yeah,
Macy's. Yeah, that's
yeah.
still a ton of space. I mean, did it come with any like gondola shelving or anything at all, or is it just one blank slate?
None, but well, they had those. They had they have the jewelry display cases in the middle.
Okay. Yeah,
You know, but those were just a pain in the balls, right? I had to knock them all down, and they were built like a, you know, like with concrete or something. They were
Yeah.
so it took us a while to knock all them down. But I mean, at the same time, right? Kmart's were going out of business. Sears was going out of business. So it was easy for me to get fixtures. I mean, it wasn't easy to do it. I bought a whole Toys R Us went out of business. They took all the
Yeah.
merchandise out, but left everything else. I bought the whole damn store for $5,000. The whole store.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Any toys come with it?
No. They took all the merch, but I mean, the cash registers were left there. The stereo system, the security system, all the shelving.
It's funny. Funny that you mentioned Toys R Us, because when they were going out of business, the partner that I'm running Nice Find with, we actually got in a car and we're like, we're going to Toys R Us because there's going to be deals. And then we left with like 2 toys. Like we got there way too late. All the professionals already were on top of it. But I mean, that was a long time ago. That was like at least 5 years ago. I was still in college, I remember. But that's funny. Yeah, like same thing. Just all the Toys R Us were going out of business. Let's go snag some deals. So, okay, so you furnish the store. It takes you 6 months to build it. Sorry again, but what year was this? I'm trying to establish a timeline here so our viewers and people listening can kind of see the natural progression, right? I feel like a lot of people nowadays, and it's not only this industry, but just overall, they want to get places and they want to get to successful places very, very quickly. But this takes years to build. You don't just get a world's largest liquidation store overnight.
And especially when you're doing it on a budget, you know, I mean, it's, you know, if we had millions and millions of dollars to do it, it would be, then you hire crews to come in. You know, I mean, you know, the total, the investment the investors brought in was $400,000, you know, which is, I mean, it's a lot of money, but it's not a ton of money to do that.
It's especially in the liquidation industry. I mean, like, you know, you can buy some trucks that are just you're going to see your $100,000 disappear, and you're going to have, you know, $3,000 worth of inventory left over to put on your shelves.
Yeah. So we signed the lease in March. We took possession in March, and we weren't able to open up until October of 2019.
October 2019. So booths ran for 4 years pretty much. So you were running the flea market booths for around 4 years before you even got into the store.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
That's takes some time to build greatness, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't care. You know, it's like whenever the faucet gets turned on and you're making a ton of money at something, you just want to ride it, right? But so it really would have taken something big for, you know, and I think this was big enough to get me to change my.
I would think so.
Yeah, you know, hey, I'll invest in you. Let's go do this. Okay, you know, but I mean, you know, and then dun, 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 you know, what happens 4 months later after we open is
Corona.
COVID, you know.
Yeah,
COVID hits, so,
but I mean, down in Florida, you guys were definitely a little bit better off than the rest of the country, I'd say, when it came to, you know, business closures and lockdowns and things of that nature.
Yeah, I mean, our governor is an incredible governor, DeSantis. He's
Hmm.
probably going to be the next president. You know, he didn't really. I mean, because remember, I'm from New York, so I'd fly up to New York, and it would be
Oh,
like
it's complete
lockdown.
opposites. Yeah, it's
Oh yeah.
polar opposites.
So I own a couple restaurants up in New York, and I'd go up there. We couldn't open. We were just doing delivery. It was, you couldn't walk in a store. It was, and then you fly back to Florida, and it's like whatever you want to do. I never wore a mask. I
Really?
never wore a mask. I mean, obviously on an airplane I had to, but
Hmm.
other than that, in Florida we never had to wear a mask. They just weren't enforcing it. So,
Okay.
but
So, I
it's
mean, Tom, how do you think COVID affected your business? I mean, I know, the closures and all that, definitely took some effect on it, but just overall, long term, right? Like, I know there was, a lot of people got a lot of money, so maybe they had a lot more money to spend. How did it affect in the long term, right? So, short term and then long term.
well, yeah. So I mean, my story of the store is not all great. I mean, we might portray that in the videos and that, but it's definitely that COVID made it a roller coaster ride. And we did a smart thing during when COVID first happened. So remember, COVID happened and everybody's looking for masks and sanitizer and cleaner and toilet paper and all that kind of stuff, right? And places went crazy. But one other thing that the country ran out of was plastic bottles. So the whole country ran out of plastic bottles
Because they were
to put.
making little hand sanitizers.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So we reached out to a local company that that produced hand sanitizer, and we were able to buy sanitizer in 55-gallon barrels from them
Okay.
because
Okay. Okay.
they couldn't do anything with it.
Sure.
So we took that sanitizer, and we now remember at that time you'd walk into a gas station and they'd be selling a bottle of sanitizer that big for like $9, right?
Yeah. Yep.
A little bottle for $9 at a gas station. So we let people bring in milk jugs, and they could fill their milk jug with sanitizer for $2. Yeah,
No way. I didn't
I'm
hear this.
telling you.
How did I miss this? I mean, I
Yeah,
watched literally 80% of your videos. So,
they would. I had to line out the freaking door of people in my store because of that, because they
oh,
couldn't
I'm
get it.
sure.
But if you were police or school, free. We gave it to you free. Gave it to you
Nice.
free.
Okay.
So that brought us a ton of goodwill, and a ton of customers came in. And it helped us out a lot, but it wasn't enough to clear up, the sales that we lost. And so the government came out with the first round of PPP money. So
Okay. Okay.
I'm not, it literally, the landlord emailed me and said, you got to pay the rent or we're going to start foreclosure. And you know at the time I was like appalled, like, don't you know what's going on?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. No, definitely.
have
Yeah.
you
The whole
looked at
country's
the
on
news?
shutdown. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, we never shut down. They said non-essential. And so we looked at the guidelines for essential. And it's, one of the things was if you had food, you don't have to shut down. We went and bought a truckload of food. So,
Nice. Okay.
like home improvement stores didn't have to shut down. We went and bought truckloads from Home Depot. We made
Yeah.
sure that we had everything that we needed so that we didn't have to shut down. But it certainly wasn't. I mean, it was tough. We were paying. I mean, the PPP. So we were hurting. We probably would have went out of business if the PPP didn't happen. Um, we got that check, and it was a significant check. That lasted throughout the summer, and then we go into the wintertime, and snowbirds come down. So everybody loses money in the summer in Florida, makes some money back in the wintertime. So we did pretty good in the
I don't think it's
wintertime.
only Florida, man. It's the same thing around here. I mean, summertime, in Chicago, you only get 2, 3, 4 months of nice weather. Like, you're not going to want to spend it in the mall. You're not going to want to spend it at a store.
Yeah.
Everybody's either shopping, barbecuing, hanging out, beach, right? Vacations, things like that. And then money's, I guess, a little tighter too, because you're going on vacations and you have graduation parties and all this type of stuff. So the summer months, I would say, are definitely slow overall. And I don't know about you, but I've been talking to a lot of bin store owners and pallet houses and things like that, and summer is just completely dead. I mean, slash it by 80% of worth of sales.
Yeah.
Makes
Yeah.
sense. But you guys get the
Yeah.
snowbirds in the winter, so it really increases, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so then the second year, the government came out with another round of money, the EDIL loans. So
Okay.
that gave us another round of cash inflow, which we did really well with it. And now we're on our third summer,
Mm-hmm.
and we're actually, now we're realizing how tight we have to be during the summertime, cut back all of our expenses, and we're about breaking even right now, probably a little
Okay.
less than breaking even, but we're excited because next month the snowbirds start coming back down again.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it's today's September 1st, so I mean, back to school season is officially underway. I think that's going to help retailers a lot. I mean, I know we seen it last year. I mean, the difference between August and September is monstrous.
yeah, but I mean, I'm also down 25% over last year in the month
Okay.
of that was July. I haven't done August yet, but so
Truth
sales
be
are
told,
way
I
down.
mean, our store, same thing. I mean, yeah, it just the summers are much slower, and there's a lot less government money going around nowadays. This summer versus the last summer, and that's for everyone, for business owners and for individuals, right? There's no stimulus checks going around. So yeah, definitely everybody's feeling it, and even the gas prices through the roof. I mean, what's gas right now in Florida? Do you know off the top of your head?
It's like 345, I think, something like that.
345. I gotta move to Florida, man.
Yeah,
Dang,
yeah, yeah.
we're at 470. I think I tanked up yesterday. It was like 460, 470, something like that.
460.
Yeah.
You still start with a four?
Oh yeah, definitely. I
Oh,
haven't seen gas under four in 6 months. Easy.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm telling you.
taxes, things like that. They add on a lot of garbage on top of the gallon price, but no, yeah, easily. I haven't seen the lowest I've probably seen was like 410, 415. And I drive a truck, so I pay attention to this stuff, man.
Right.
It's costing me an arm and a leg. But all right, I mean, Tom, you have a great store. It's awesome. You have a great story. What is the biggest flip you have ever had? Your biggest success today that you can just kind of think of, like bought this, sold this, millions.
Well, I mean, I don't know if home runs. What my favorite flip is that somebody brought a guitar into my store, and I didn't see it, but my buying manager didn't buy it because the neck was cracked. Right?
Okay.
You don't buy a guitar with a cracked neck, right?
Yeah.
It's the whole
Makes
the
sense. The
structure
total
is
point
gone.
of the guitar. Yeah.
Yeah. So the person takes it next door, which there was a guitar store next door. So I don't know why he didn't take it there first, but apparently they didn't want to buy it either, and he threw it in the garbage. So I walk out of my store and I see it in the garbage, and I recognize it from the guy that was just at my store. So I go to lunch and I tell my nephew, who's 14 at the time, if that's still in the garbage, you're going to take that and sell it on eBay. I take an hour for lunch, have me a few beers, a steak sandwich, get done, walk out there, it's still in the garbage, pull it out of the garbage. He puts it on eBay, and it does $860 on eBay.
You're
800.
kidding.
It was like some 1950s solid wood guitar. You would think the guitar store would know what it was.
Yeah,
I mean,
seriously.
I can understand why I wouldn't know what it was, but a guitar store should know what it was. But
That's
but
huge.
that kind of like that just like opened my eyes to like, you just don't know what the frig things are worth, right? There's
No, you
so
never
much
do.
stuff out there that has a ton of value that you got to look it up. And that's what I
No,
tell,
definitely.
my
And
new
it's
my
those
new
niches, right, that make you a ton of money. I mean, there's a ton of people either like specializing and getting into these niche items and categories all over. I mean, eBay, Facebook, like if you become an expert in a niche, there's a ton of money to be made.
yeah,
But
exactly.
I remember because we met in Vegas last year at ASD, and I remember you telling me a story how now I don't recall the item, but it was some massive structure that you had in a basement, and you hauled it. Do you remember what it was? Was it like a playground or like a sign, something? And then you flipped it for a lot of money. I just remember you telling me, and I was like, no way, there is no chance that happened. Do you remember what that was?
I mean, I'm trying to think of which. I mean, I bought a playland, like a McDonald's, one of those great big
Yes,
McDonald's
McDonald's
playlands.
Playland. Yes. That's what I
Yeah,
was talking about. Yeah. So
yeah,
how did that work out? And how did that even happen? Tell us the story.
yeah. I mean, I think I bought it for $100 because I wasn't doing the auction circuit back then, right? So I was getting all my merchandise from auctions, and every once in a while you'll be at an auction where nobody wants to move something, right? Or it's too big for anybody at the auction to deal with. and I don't mind taking it on, right? I'll just go get my crew. We'll come back. We'll tear it apart. So there's lots of times where I bought big old CNC machines that weighed, and I sold them on eBay for scrap, and even I paid $1 for a 20-ton machine, and sold it for $1,000 on eBay. I've bought in safes out of grocery stores that you need a crane to get out. I buy it at the auction for $1 or $10, and then I put it right on Facebook Marketplace and sell it to somebody else for $1,000. They know how to get it out of there, things like that. But that time I bought a McDonald's Playland for $100, and then a guy was opening up a kids play center across from me, and I'm like, I got one. He's like, I really need a Playland. I'm like, I got one.
That's awesome.
He sold it to him for $10,000. But I mean, it was $50,000 new, right? So 10 grand to him, that was a good deal.
No,
that was a good deal. Yeah,
that's amazing. That's okay. So, but those are your wins. What about the worst flip, or I guess the biggest time you got screwed? I know you have some videos on this topic, so if you want to go rant on that, please go ahead. But worst flips, worst times you got screwed over, and just being a reseller, being in this industry.
Yeah, I mean, I could
ton of them, right?
My biggest was one of the most interesting is I bought a Rite Aid load, right? So I was dealing with a broker, and I won't mention the broker because I like the broker, but I was buying Rite Aid loads from him in North Carolina, shipping them to Florida, and they're always like the high piece count. And he calls me up one time and says, "Hey, I got a Rite Aid load in Florida. Do you want it? I'm going to save myself $2 grand in shipping." I'm like, hell yeah, I'll take it. Right. So, I mean, it wasn't a ton of money, maybe $8,000 or something total for the load. So the load shows up, and we start unloading the truckload, and it's firewood and snow shovels.
In Florida.
I'm like, what the hell is this?
Wait, the whole truck? Like literally the whole truck?
The whole truck. So the last 2 pallets ended up being T-shirts.
Okay.
So fortunately, I was able to sell the T-shirts at $1 a piece and get like $3 grand back. But yeah.
What'd you do with the snow shovels and firewood? What did you do with it?
I ended up blowing the snow shovels out. And they were nice snow shovels. If I still lived in New York, I'd get a fortune out of them. I blew them out for like $2. People that do gravel and stuff like that were buying them, but that was just a horrible deal. Other times, like one time I bought a truckload of clothes from Miami, and in the pictures was Amazon clothes, right? You know what Amazon clothes looks like? It's all bagged up. Got the, that's all the pictures were Amazon clothes. Truckload comes in, it's all dirty clothes. I think they might have cleared out storage units and put all the clothes in pallets.
No,
it was freaking disgusting. And the worst thing is not that I got screwed on the load, is now I got to take care of it. I got to do something with it.
That's what I think people don't understand. Now you have to put in another $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 worth of labor and effort and energy into getting rid of this. And that's kind of leads to my next question is, because ladies and gentlemen, got to be prepared for when you're interviewing the OG and the godfather of the liquidation world. But so any advice to people, that are getting into this business that maybe have a small store or maybe just are, flea market sellers or out of their garage? What's your advice to getting rid of the crap, the stuff they think has no value, that, it's taking up space. They have nothing to do with it. They don't know how to sell it. What's your advice? What do they do with it?
Yeah.
Other than throwing it out. You can't say throw it out.
I mean, if my favorite thing is flea markets. I just love flea markets. You can rent a booth for a weekend for $50 and you'll get 10,000 people walk by you, so it's,
and they're all in the same mindset. They're all flippers. They're all resellers. They all have that niche that they're looking for. You don't know who's going to come by.
Yeah, I always recommend anybody who buys a pallet from me that they have one source to blow things out. Either their community lets them do a yard sale, they can do the yard sales at their house, do the flea market, or even just palletize it back up and somebody will buy it for $100. You put it cheap enough. Even like in our bin stores, we do the mystery boxes for $15, and they buy the hell out of those, and it's all the crap that's left over that nobody wants anyways, but they seem to like them. They keep buying them. So
there's a buyer out there for everything, right?
Yeah, so I certainly recommend. I just love, if you're a good salesman. Now, listen, I've recommended this to people. They sit in a chair in the back corner of their flea market and they watch movies. You're not going to sell a goddamn thing doing that, right? You got to
No,
talk to
definitely.
people. You got to offer them deals. You got to, they want a deal. Even if they don't ask for a deal, they want a deal. Or, it's better for you to, say, I'll give it to you for $8 instead of having them walk away,
What, to
because
truth be told, is like, I mean, if you don't respect my time of me coming up to your booth and you don't even feel like getting up from your Netflix time, I'm just gonna walk away. Seriously, you can't give me 2 minutes of your time. I mean, I'm interested. I have $100 in my hand. I'm willing to buy, and you know what I mean? I don't like that. And I can see I see it all the time. People do it all the time. I have a good story of visiting a bin store, actually, because I don't know. I'm a big fan of visiting operations. I think that's the best way to learn. I think that's the best way to connect with people. You're there, you're shaking hands, you're learning, they're showing you their operation. They're proud of it, right? And there's somebody there to kind of acknowledge their efforts. And, a lot of the time they'll ask me, hey, do you have any advice? This and that, this and that. And this one guy got really, really upset with me because he asked me for advice. And I was like, well, do you want me to BS you right now and beat around the bush, or do you want my real true advice? And he goes, no, tell it how it is. I'm like, well, dude, like you've been complaining to me for the past 30 minutes. And the first thing when I walked in, you're watching a movie with your dad on the computer. You have 13, 15 customers. With that type of volume, all of them should know your name. You have to put in the effort. I mean, they might not buy something now, but because they know your name, and for the sake of Jimmy, then now they know Jimmy runs the store with his dad. It's a family-owned business and yada, yada. Maybe I won't be here every single day, but I'll come back next month. Maybe when my daughter has a recital, I'll come here to buy the gift bags, whatever the hell it might be. I mean, you got to put yourself out there. This is a hustler's game. Am I wrong?
No, 100%, 100%. I mean, people want to be sold. Do you think they accidentally ended up in my store or accidentally ended up at a flea market? Why do they go there? They go there because they want to buy something. So if they pick something up, try to freaking sell it to them.
Yeah,
sell it
definitely.
to them. They're interested.
Or find out what they're looking for, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but that's just pure salesmanship. And I really don't think a lot of people, I mean, I really think people write that off to like, oh, I'm not a sales guy. I'm not a sales guy. I just want to run the store. No, you're in sales. It might not be, direct phone to phone or cold calling or something like that, but you're selling yourself at all times, whatever you're doing. Like right now, I'm selling myself to you, right? Like, hey, Tom, thanks so much for for coming out to talk to me. I'm selling myself and the brand, right? So are you right now. At all times, we're constantly selling.
Definitely, 100%. I agree with you 100%, man. It's don't get in the retail business. If you want to sell online, if you want to, do the eBay, Amazon thing, go right ahead. But don't get in retail if you're not going to, be an outgoing. Always be selling, right? Always be selling.
Always be selling. Always be selling. And my new favorite is KISS method, man. Keep it simple, stupid. Yeah, just sometimes you hear overselling, right? Because I mean, like I said, we just got the warehouse, so I've been dealing with a ton of vendors, right? You got to get the alarm, you got to get the garage door fixed, you got to get, just a bunch of stuff when you're setting it up, pallet racks, things like that. And you're on the phone. And I'm like, all right, man, like you had me like 15 minutes ago, and like I'm still interested, but I'm telling you, like you probably lost like 50% of your leads because you just keep talking. Just shut up. Just keep it simple, stupid. I already know what you know what I want. You know what you have. Tell me the price. Tell me the service you're going to provide, and that's it. You don't have to spiel for 45 minutes. And a lot of people, you're going to lose that client, I would say, because you're not keeping it simple, right? But on to the next question, Tom. I mean, are we still good on time? I know you're a busy man. You're a serial entrepreneur, right? You got real estate, restaurants. What else you got? You got bin stores. You got the liquidation store.
I'm opening up a bowling alley right now, so that's my newest venture. Yeah.
And you're a crypto guy too. I know you got some crypto projects, right?
I'm a crypto guy. I'm down right now, but this is the
everybody is, Tom.
Every bit of free income I got right now is going into crypto. This is so I got in 4 years ago, 2018, and everybody's like, "Oh, Tom, you're doing horrible. You're doing horrible." I'm like, I bought Ethereum at $75. It went up to $5,000 and now it's at 1,700. So I don't think I'm doing bad. I
No,
don't
I
think I'm
think you're
doing
doing
bad.
just fine, man. But bowling alley, tell me how and why and what, how did this a bowling alley come into play here?
Actually, what it is so Esteban, a lot of people that watch my channel know Esteban. He was my eBay manager. He is the most organized, systematic kind of guy in the world. And I said to myself, I need to find a business that suits Esteban to get
So he
him
can
out of
run it.
to get him out of the hourly and make him a business partner of mine.
Okay,
And
okay.
so this bowling alley came available in the mall. So it's a 220 seat restaurant, a bowling alley, and a full size arcade, underneath one roof. And it was shut down during COVID, and the landlord just wanted somebody to reopen it because it was a big draw to the mall. It's kind of a
Mm,
dying mall, but this mall might be dying, but real estate is probably popping in your area too. But it's super
yeah.
popping down here in Florida.
Oh yeah,
It,
yeah, yeah,
they're
definitely.
building. I think they're building 50,000 homes around this mall area. So he wanted to get that up and running, and so I reached out to the mall manager. We worked out, negotiated the lease, and now Esteban's over there opening up. It should be open in another week or so.
Oh,
But he's my
sweet.
business partner there. So so now I'm investing in him, right? So I've it's like my investments throughout the years are finally coming full circle, and now I'm just looking for good people that I can invest in and open new businesses with, so that I can be the guy that gets to sit back on a boat someday. I'm not really a boat guy, but on the beach,
Boats are too
I'll be
much
on the
maintenance,
beach.
man. You just need
Yeah,
a friend with a boat. That's what I always say. Like, I don't want to own the boat. I want to have a friend with a boat.
that's right. I'll pitch in for gas.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But all right, so Tom, what is your I guess this is gonna be our last question, just to kind of wrap it up. I know you're a busy guy and we've been on for over an hour now, but what is your outlook on the liquidation industry? There's a ton of bin stores popping up. There's a ton of pallet houses. There's a ton of new brokers, Facebook groups. I mean, you name it, it's new, it's popping up, it's growing. Do you think we're at the beginning stages of this industry? Do you think we're at the ending stages, in the middle? Is it flourishing? Is it dying? What's going on? What's your opinion?
Well, my opinion is that the industry, I think we're on the downward of the bell curve. So opening, and now I've finally seen, well, obviously the economy is turning. So the economy plays
Sure.
into this. If you saw what was it, Target just announced 90% decrease in profits. I think today Bed Bath and Beyond announced they're shutting
Yes,
220
I've
stores.
seen that. That's gonna be that's gonna be some good dealing over there,
Yeah,
man. I
yeah,
think
yeah.
it's
We're
time
gonna
to
get a lot
start
of
reaching out to
we're
some corporate offices over there.
we're going to be able to get some good deals, but the problem is that retail is down. Nobody's buying. They're only buying essential items. They're not buying the stuff that we're selling in our stores. So it's really hurt the business. That's number one. That's one tier to what's going on right now. So the whole United States is in an economic downturn. Number one. Number two, the industry has really been screwed up by a lot of bad actors, in my opinion. And I don't mean that they're trying to be deceitful. I just mean that, we know that there's a lot. Well, the scammers are obviously deceitful, but
No, of course.
there's people. You
Did
used to be able to just get clean loads and get them all the time, and now there's people that's processing them and selling smaller pallets and picking out good things and not telling you, or there's brokers that there's too many brokers out there that are getting the middle deals. I don't mind. I don't have no problem with brokers that are direct to a
Mhm.
contract holder. But when you're buying from a broker that's brokering, then that just screws the whole deal up. And
No,
unless you
definitely.
know who's a you're going to get screwed and you're going to get marked up more price. Everybody has to win in these transactions, right? Everybody,
Yes.
the seller, the contract holder has to make money. The broker makes some money, and then the retailer has to make money. But in too many situations, the retailer's getting cut short, and they're not making. They have the biggest nut normally. They have the biggest bill.
Biggest overhead, right? The biggest,
Yeah,
yeah, definitely. The biggest need for the profit, 100%.
yeah. And so those kind of the retailer. I just got screwed too many times, and me being a bigger dealer, it doesn't affect me as much. But I can see how one deal can ruin a smaller dealer. Watch one of my videos where I bought a high piece count load from Excess Limited, and I bought it 1 week. I bought it was $16,000. It was a manifested load. I was paying 9% of the manifest. The next week, I bought the same load. It was $60,000, and I'm like, "There's no way it's $60,000." It looked the same, but on the manifest, like the cell phone cases, they had like 1,000 cell phone cases at like $400 a piece, and so that really. And we negotiated all the way down. I'm glad they negotiated because it was to $30,000. So I lost.
Worth of so.
And then it was.
So I've had these type of situations before with the manifest where you're just like, what? Like, this doesn't add up. How the hell did this happen? So how the hell did this happen? What's like, what do you think? How does this happen where an Amazon, a company that literally tracks every single package to the ounce, and if you send something, because we sell some on FBA, and I've been an FBA seller for a while now, but you send something in, they're like, well, oh, you said it's 2.1, but it's actually 2.2, buddy. You owe us 30 cents, right? So a company that has those type of systems and that type of, accuracy in place, how do these manifests get skewed by, thousands of dollars worth of retail prices?
One explanation came back to me, and I'm not exactly sure who said it, but they said that it's hired out in India to do the manifests, and that they do them in ruples over there, or rubies, or whatever the Indian currency is, and they never translated it back. They never put it back into American dollars. So whatever the exchange rate was, they thought. Yeah, that's the way somebody explained it to me. Like,
why would Amazon.com
10-to-1 exchange rate, right? Or a 5-to-1 exchange rate. That 500,000 should have been 100,000 in American dollars.
No,
but
I mean, in theory, that makes sense. Practicality,
I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to pay $50,000 for a load. I mean, and that happened on the heels of, I bought a load out of Palm City, Florida. There's a broker over there, and she told me it was a electronics load, right? And the price was it was a high piece kind of electronics. She's like, this is the best stuff you can get. And 6 foot tall electronics, $27,000. So I was getting regular loads for 16. She was going to sell me this one for 27. I get it in. There's not one goddamn piece of electronics in there. So, I know when somebody gets a bad load, they'll take a picture of the worst pallet and send it to you, right? So for this lady, I said, I'm going to cut open 10 pallets on camera, and I'm going to send you the video, right? So I cut them open, showed that there's 10 pallets, there's 0. So then she calls me up and says, I'll give you a $2,000 credit. I'm like, and so then I did a video on my YouTube channel about it, and she doesn't sell to me anymore now. So
power of YouTube, baby. The power of YouTube.
I mean, I never mentioned her name, but I will say she's from Palm City, and she doesn't sell to me anymore. And
so stay away.
Yeah,
so
but just be careful. But I don't think it's specific to her. It's just throughout. It's just a tough industry, man. I mean,
it really is. It's a hustler's industry. I think a lot of people don't understand that. You need to have the hustler's kind of grit and mentality and sharpness of in order to stay alive in here, right? Because you need to be making deals on the fly. It's you're looking at a pallet and all right, yeah. If I overpay by 100, I'm gonna right. And it's a lot of people don't do that, and they don't have that kind of skill set to power through these type of negotiations, right, with their best interest in mind, I think, because it is a hustler's game.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the bin store concept goes right now, if you're not willing to work 70 hours a week, bust your tail, switch vendors every 2 or 3 weeks, drive 10 or 20 hours to pick up a load because you don't have anything for that weekend, don't get in the goddamn business. 100%. Some people are very good about that. Some people are great about that, but you're going to have your inventory locked up. It's going to get screwed up, and you're going to have to go find it somewhere else, and you're going to have 3 days to get it. Right. So you're going to have to do any goddamn thing that you can in order to make it happen.
And it's a gamble every single week. You are gambling because, you might have the best inventory on the planet at the best price ever. You bought 1,000 pallets for $1,000 full of electronics. But if you don't get enough people in there to sustain those sales that you need to cover the cost of those pallets, you're going to lose. And that type of gamble happens every single week, right? So it is a very risky business. Very risky business.
It is. It is. It's like the only way I can see it working is maybe if you did like a pop-up. Let's say you could set up a tent and you have your bin store. And then if you're out of inventory, you close it down, you move, you know, you're done. And you can pop it up somewhere else. You know, I don't know what the answer, and I don't recommend getting into the bins. The good thing, I mean, I know I've encouraged a lot of people to get in the bin store, and I feel bad about that. But I've always prefaced it by saying you must have a competitive advantage on the inventory.
Yes, 100%. And I mean, I'm saying the same thing now. It's do not open just the bin store. Bins alone will not work. But they might work for a month, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But in the long term, it's not a consistent enough business. It lacks the I guess the core values of any business, what would make a business successful. That makes sense. Because you have no consistency, right? You have no suppliers that can actually invoice you every single week for the same exact damn thing. And you are strictly relying on foot traffic, right? So now when people do reach out asking about bin stores, I tell them you have to have something on the side. You have to have a retail section. You have to use the bins as a loss leader and as a marketing strategy to get people into your store so they can buy stuff that you know for a fact you are profiting on and covering your overhead on.
Right. Yeah, 100%. Definitely.
No, it makes sense.
Definitely.
All right, Tom, anything else to add? I mean, thank you so much for being here. You got me in the YouTube game. I hope you know this. You really did. I'm like, man, if Tom's killing it, I want to do it too. This is awesome. But yeah, anything else you want to add before we wrap up and get back to work, to being hustlers?
All I want to say is that in the year 2000, I quit my last job, and I've been doing this buying and selling ever since. And hasn't been in 22 years, there hasn't been one day that I've looked at the clock. I've enjoyed every day. I mean, you go through ups and downs, don't get me wrong, but of course, yeah. I've always loved what I do. And they say, you know, you gotta work where you love, do what you love. And I just love it, man. I love it. So I encourage people to get into it, you know, be smart about it, you know, try to keep your bills down. You know, as far as YouTube goes, I'm hoping we can do some more videos, do some collabs with you. You know, we can get some more videos.
Definitely, man. Definitely. I would love to come down to Florida and do a little store tour of yours. Cause I mean, world's largest liquidation store. It's gotta be on the bin store visit page, you know? Definitely.
Definitely.
But
definitely.
yeah, thank you so much for being on, Tom. Like, thank you so much for your time. And yeah, seriously appreciate you, and keep doing what you're doing. Keep hustling, keep grinding, and go sell something, man. We've been on this for an hour and a half now. So
wow, time flew. The young guns, you keep at it too, man. You guys are taking over. You guys
definitely,
are taking
man.
over.
Definitely. We'll stay in touch. All right, Tom. Thank you so much. Bye.
So I hope you guys enjoyed that video with Tom. We just jumped off. It was over an hour and a half. I'm not sure how we're gonna edit it and what we're gonna post, but thank you guys all so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to our channel at Nice Find right there, and then go and find Liquidation Motivation on YouTube, Tom Shultz on Google. He's seriously an awesome guy. He's a really successful entrepreneur, and you guys should definitely follow him. So yeah, to continue learning and to continue seeing his journey, because it's an amazing story, and I'm just super happy to be able to experience it along here with him. So thank you guys so much. Please don't forget, share, subscribe, like, and comment, and we will all see you here next week. Peace.